Welcome to Literacy Mindset, where education leaders from across the country share strategies for improving K-12 instruction today and preparing for the challenges of tomorrow. The stakes are high. Students are facing new academic demands, and educators are navigating an ever-changing educational landscape. Each episode, we explore the most effective literacy initiatives, innovative tools, and strategies that are reshaping education. Whether you're an educator looking to improve student outcomes or passionate about driving meaningful change in schools, the Literacy Mindset brings you the insights and strategies you need to stay ahead. This is where education leadership meets real-world impact.
All right. Well, I'm really excited for another episode of the Literacy Mindset today. Great guest with me, Monique Boone, out of Cleveland Independent School District, just outside of the Houston area. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today with you.
Well, we're very excited to have you. Obviously, you're in Texan gear. Tell us a little bit about that before we get started.
Absolutely. So if you're not from Texas, this might be a little foreign for you, but if you are from Texas, you'll understand exactly what this means. So in Houston, we have our Houston Livestock and Rodeo Show. It's a big scholarship for our students who participate in ag. So they spend all year raising cattle. They they grow plants and gardens, all types of agricultural animals. And so they go to the rodeo, and then they can auction off and sell their cattle so they make money. Right. Take care of them all year, and then they can sell them. But it involves art. It involves food. It's like a big festival, but it's also a really big carnival. And so a lot of that money goes towards our scholarships. And the last Friday of February is always Go Texan Day because it kicks off the rodeo season. And so everyone from education to bankers, police officers, if you are in Houston, then you will see cowboy hats and cowboy boots all over. We also have a lot of trail riders that ride through. And so you could be riding in your car and you'll see a big trail ride of people with horses and carriages and wagons. And we're used to it. We look forward to it every year. So I wanted to make sure that I participated because it only happens one time a year.
Hey, well, we are super happy that you joined us on Go Texans Day so that we got to learn a little bit about that. Will you then just orient the audience to who you are and how you became so passionate about literacy and the role that you have in Cleveland?
Yes, absolutely. So I started when I was very young. I was a select mute, and I love to tell this story because it just really helped to pivot what literacy is to me today. So I didn't talk a lot when I was a kid. Up until I was about 10 or 11, I just had a lot of anxiety around talking. And so from there, I don't know what happened that made me, just start to talk. I think it was my third grade teacher, honestly, but I struggled with reading. And so with that, because as a kid and I did not talk. And so reading aloud just wasn't happening.
Not your thing.
And so trying to figure out what's going on there. So when I did start to read, I struggled a lot and found out that, there might be some learning disabilities there, which turned out to be, just dyslexia. And so to go through that and then spark a love of reading, which happened when I was in sixth grade, reading alongside my mom. And as I grew up, I knew I wanted to be a teacher because I just loved the way my teacher really helped just cultivate who I was as a learner and as a human, even in third grade. And so I got my education from SFA in East Texas, and I majored in education with an emphasis on foundational literacy. My graduate degree is also in education with emphasis on foundational literacy as well. And so just that love of reading sparked and has exploded to where I am still an avid reader. I taught English for 10 years, and also I served as an instructional coach as well as a content specialist, coordinator, and now senior director over CNI here in Cleveland ISD.
Okay. That's an amazing story. Do you think that you knew in this sort of sixth grade window when reading started to just happen for you over and over? Did you feel like you knew that you were going to be in the reading and literacy world as an educator, or was that really still unknown to you at the time?
It was unknown. I still struggled in middle school. I was not a strong reader. My sixth grade teacher, my sixth grade math teacher, as a matter of fact, is the one who helped me with reading strategies. He was from Africa, and I don't know from specifically where, but he was from the continent of Africa. And so him being a English language learner, he taught me some of the tools that he used to, read English. And so from there is where it just it unlocked the language for me. And so I was able to learn from him, and then use the color overlays and just different tools from there that I was able to unlock that reading. And once I unlocked it, I just had a love for it. And it exploded. And I was just that avid reader who I would consume books all the time.
Well, I know we're going to talk about this a little bit because you mentioned it earlier when we were prepping, but that's so awesome to hear that it was a math teacher that sort of sparked a love of reading and really helped even with instructional strategies, like how you could think about it. So we'll get into that, but that's just a great anecdote that I love hearing about. Okay, tell us just a little bit about Cleveland ISD. Help us understand sort of the makeup of its size. We know it's north-ish of Houston, and outside of that, maybe give us a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So just outside of Houston, enough to be out of town, but still close enough to go and visit Houston a lot.
Okay.
It is about a little bit over 1,200 kids that are in our district. We have 12 schools, so one high school in our district. And it's a rural area. And so we have pockets of communities, but then there's big spaces in between the communities where it's just country town roads. And you'll see the houses or the small mom and pop stores, but it's no big businesses and things like that in between. And that's about 30 to 40 minutes in between one town to the next town, and it's still Cleveland. So It is a couple of, hundreds miles wide. But in Houston, this particular part of the city, we have a lot of growth. So in development, where one day you'll see trees and grass, and in a couple of months, you'll see a whole subdivision of houses. And so they just keep popping up because we have a lot of land. So of course, as they continue to build from inside of the loop in Houston and spread out, and it's just now hitting the Cleveland area.
Wow. Okay. So 12,000 students and only one high school, you said. So
yeah, only one high school.
A lot of busing time.
Yes, a lot of busing. Right? And 67% of our students are emerging bilingual students. And they come, they come in from multiple countries, mostly Central and South America. Okay. And so they, are not proficient in speaking English. And so we a lot of our resources and our efforts go to helping and supporting those students. Okay,
excellent. Good. Well, let's dive in and talk about the literacy things that are happening in the district. You're fairly new to the role, so you've been working on a lot of things as you've come into this role. But maybe you kind of walk us through some of the particulars of how you guys are thinking about Tier 1 instruction right now and making sure that the science of reading, which, oh, by the way, you did science of reading well before it was the cool kid on the block, right? Doing science of reading. So maybe kind of guide us through what's going on now.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest things, and just coming in to Cleveland ISD this year, is to ensure that we're using high quality instructional material. And so with that material, we're able to ensure that all of our students are getting an equitable instructional aspect, because if each teacher is teaching their own thing, and in our landscape of teacher retention being an issue, then are teachers not going to school for education? Or like you said, I had a emphasis on literacy. So I had my science of teacher reading certification way back in 2005. Right. So, but teachers now could be, 1 to 5 years, and then we're recycling those teachers. We can't get them enough professional development, learning, and application fast enough. So using that high quality instructional material, providing quality PD and professional learning for them, it really does help to make it equitable, especially when we think about teaching the foundational phonics skills to ensure that our teachers know how to do it, because it is a science in teaching it, just like it's a science on how students learn it.
Yeah. What is it that, you've spent so much time studying and learning and now helping teach reading. What is it that makes reading so hard for us as we think about it? What's your lens on that?
Well, the English language is one of the hardest languages to learn. First of all, so our students who learn, who come with other languages already, then they tend to pick up English just a little bit faster than those who English is their first language, because it's just linguistically complex. And so, one of the things is ensuring that it's systematic and it's explicit and it's integrated in what we do, right? And so that is why it's important to have the high quality instructional material, because it takes away the guessing of what fits where. And so when we think about our phonics skills, our decoding, our vocabulary, our word development, when we think about that and put it in a context of what we're actually reading, and kids can go from this phonics instruction to actually the reading and comprehension, and it's connected, and we're using that phonics as a foundation to build knowledge, then that unlocks the language for our students. But when it's all disconnected and disjointed, it makes it harder because it's inconsistent. So when we think about the cognitive load for students, right? If I'm in this class and I'm learning something this way, and then I go in another class and I'm learning it another way, and then I go in intervention because I'm struggling, but my intervention teacher is teaching this skill in a different way. Well, that cognitive load is heavy on a student, and then they tend to be a lot more confused. But we would too. If I was learning how to fix a car or be a brain surgeon, and I'm getting all these different ways and tools to do it, then I have to look at the issue in front of me and then decide, now, which one am I going to use? And that's the cognitive load that's really heavy on students, which is why it's important to have a streamlined curriculum and resources and materials for them.
Yeah, no, I love hearing that. And I do think that, to your point, the level of explicit instruction that has to happen as you learn to kind of read the English language is maybe something that's not obvious to everyone, since, you grow up in, maybe outside of yourself as a selective mute early on, but, kids are speaking, maybe they're communicating, and you don't necessarily understand how to read. And so it feels weird that you haven't been able to pick up reading so easily, but it really does require a high degree of explicit instruction.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of repetition, right? So being able to see it again and apply it in different spaces. And so when I was younger, even going through college, or when we look at kids who prepare for the spelling bee, right? When they say, what is the origin of this word? And knowing that, because it is a Latin root, then this is the type of spelling. Or if it's a Greek root, then this is the type. So all of those things, like I was learning then, but now on this side of it, when I'm watching and leading the learning on teachers being able to be proficient in teaching phonics and instruction, then I'm like, all of this makes sense on, all of the components coming together. So when we talk about just building that skill of reading, of effective listening, of being able to speak, right? A lot of times that is in the hands of the English teacher, or the ELAR, the language arts teacher. But I feel strongly about literacy being a part of every space that students occupy, right? So when I'm going to a science class, there are going to be specific words that have specific origins. And if I can unlock that language, then I can then it unlocks the science of things. Same thing with math. So we have a lot of students and adults that struggle with math. And it's like, this is so hard. Well, because you haven't unlocked the language, but those who are mathematicians have unlocked the math language. Same thing with coding. When we think about, coding or whatever space that we occupy in a career, you have unlocked that language. So that literacy, it abounds, like it's everywhere. And so for our students, it has to be in all classes. It has to be in CTE. It has to be in the elective classes in PE. I mean, if you're in band, you're reading music. Guess what? That's a language. So that's literacy.
Reading.
You have to know how to read it. You have to know how to look at it and understand what those different code, symbols mean. You have to be able to hear and understand to speak about it. So literacy is everywhere. It's in our communities, right? So when our kids are going to the store or going to the movies or whatever they're doing, working with their parents, if the kids, boys and maybe or girls working outside with their dads, fixing a car or mowing the lawn, like there is language in all of that. And so to be able to have a kid just have a dynamic literacy instruction all throughout the day, even at home. And I know a lot of people have heard about the baseball theory where you have kids who know how to play baseball. Well, if you give them a text about baseball, they're going to do better, even if their reading skill is lower because they have unlocked that baseball language. Right.
Yeah, no, that's good. And even to your point of the math teacher for you that helped do that, everyone can play a role in that. As you think about that, that's a point. You have a unique perspective. You've both learned and taught in the elementary space, in the middle school, and in high school. You've kind of been all throughout that. One of the things that districts will oftentimes hire us for is students that are struggling at the middle school level because they might have phonological barriers as a seventh grader, as an eighth grader. They might be at a second grade level or first grade level. What do you guys do, and how do you make sure that those phonological skills or other potential gaps that have been formed over the time are addressed at the secondary level when not every secondary teacher has had the same background as you with the science of reading? And how do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think our intervention teachers have to be trained just as much in foundational literacy skills, but also choosing the right product is very important. So I was an interventionist when I taught for a couple of years. And so to make sure that it is developmentally appropriate and also grade level appropriate, right? So sometimes you'll have schools or districts and they're like, oh, well, we'll just go get the elementary curriculum and we'll bring it to
the baby phonics program.
Yeah, the baby phonics program, and then we'll bring it. I'm like, that is not grade level and age appropriate, for a student. So first we have to make sure that our teachers that are charged to be over intervention are they're prepared, right? And then that we're picking and we're choosing the right curriculum for those students. And then a third thing is making sure that the tier 1 instruction is on point. So we cannot tier 2 and tier 3 intervention our way out of a school of students who are performing low in reading. We have to make sure that the tier 1 instruction is there all the way around, that literacy is happening everywhere all over the school, and that we're continuing to build that knowledge. So as I'm building these skills in my intervention class, I'm directly taking what I'm learning, but now I'm able to decode as I'm reading this primary source in social studies, or as I'm reading this article in science, or as I'm reading this novel in ELA. We want to be able to infuse those skills. And also one thing that is very important to me when I was a dean is that we align the strategies. So if the foundational skills that are the tier 2 or tier 3 skills that are being taught in intervention, how powerful is it for those teachers to learn those skills? So if a student is having an issue with decoding a word, right, in my reading or science or social studies class, that they can pull that strategy over here. It's not like I learned the strategy over here and then my teacher is kind of fumbling through how I can decode it here. It's like, this is what you need to do. and they're pulling that skill, right? That's evening in that's evening. We're making sure the cognitive load is even. And so I don't have to choose what I'm doing. I can say, I can take this and I can use it over here as well.
That's great. When you sit now in a level of decision making for curriculum, obviously we're a software provider. You've dealt with a lot of technology, and I think technology actually, or digital instruction, sits under you. So maybe talk a little bit about how you guys think about technology in your curriculum decision making framework, and the pros and cons of that evaluation.
Yes, absolutely. So, like you said, so under my umbrella, I do have the core four, which is your science, social studies, math, and ELA. But then also on my team is the multilingual team, digital learning, as well as post-secondary education. And I love it because we can all function as one and not each individual group doing their own thing. So we know that a lot of things are digital now. And one thing that coming into Cleveland and, and I'm new here, but I think that it's important that we are critical on what we do choose. As far as the platform, like, is it blended learning? Is there space for development for the teacher as well as the student? What does the data look like in a process of tracking data in real time and being able to give students feedback in real time? But then also not just what's beautiful and shiny at the demo, because it all looks good at the demo when, they bring snacks, but it is being more critical to say, is this tool going to give us what we need, and what specific purpose is it going to serve? So that's right. Very, important to us. And I always, I will scream this from the mountaintops. And this is from being an instructional tech, because I was a digital learning coach and a digital learning specialist, is to always get and use the PD. Not just get it because you have to get it, but also to use it, because right. You will utilize your success manager. You make sure that you are in constant contact with the company so that you are looking at the data. They're able to pull those data tools. You have conversations around them, that you're utilizing the professional development, because the tool can work if you work it. But what do we see a lot of times is, we have this and this and this. Oh, but now we need something else and we need something else. And now you have 10 tools. And no one's using any of them. You're looking at the usage data. And then what happens at the end of the year? You're like, oh, well, we're spending this amount of money on digital tools, so now we need to cut back. But you don't know what to cut back, because you don't know what's right. working, because you have tons. And so just working with companies like that, and they're like, oh my gosh, you get it. But it's because I lived in that world, being able to have products and saying, we have to be more critical. What is going to work? What purpose does this serve? And then how can we utilize it? So if kids are on the tool, on the platform, how are we looking at data? And then how are we blending that learning? Because if you just put them on a platform, they're not going to get any smarter. We cannot replace teachers, quality teachers. And I always say high quality instructional material has to be paired with high quality instruction. So what instruction are you delivering? And then how often are you looking at the data? And then what are you doing with that data to, again, drive your next steps in instruction? And it's a constant iteration of doing that. And so just working with EdTech companies, that is always something they're like, we wish more people would be like that. And I'm like, it's because I live that world.
Right. You know that world inside and out, and you can offer the suggestions. And sometimes I like to have a space here to talk about the critical things that we need to do better at as EdTech companies. You're in a position to be able to talk about that. Are there things that you're like, oh, if you guys would just do better at this is a space. What would you share with EdTech companies?
Okay. So I recently had someone ask me that. It was a newer developer of a company. And he said, well, we're just scratching our heads. We just want to know what to do. And I said, have you asked the teachers? And he said, oh, I said, you can create a cohort where they come together, folks that are using your product. And then you just ask them what you want to know. What do they like about it? What could be done better? Because a lot of times when people are coming to train on the product, they may have been teachers a while ago and they haven't been in a while. So things, if they've changed, especially post-COVID, have changed a little bit, they may be disconnected from what is happening, right? And so the companies may not know because they're just a little disconnected from actual teachers who are in a classroom. But that's same with my position, right? I have a lot of meetings. I'm not seeing kids as much as I used to. I'm not working with teachers as much as I used to. It's a lot more about running the organization, but I have to get in there and talk to teachers. I have to get in there and talk to students because I can see a product and think it's amazing. But if I don't get the teachers to demo it, to spend some time in it, to work through it and then get their feedback, I'm going to get something that I feel like worked from when I taught 10 years ago, but I need to know what do they know. So that's my number one thing, is to always tell companies, get with the teachers, ask the teachers what they need, what they want. And if it is at all possible, get them to be your spokesperson, your trainers, your PLSs for the product, because they'll be able to say, this is what I do in my class or what I've done. And this is how I know it will work.
Awesome. That's great. Great feedback. And hope everyone's listening to that. Make sure we're connected to and helping serve the community that we're partnering with. All right. Well, this has been awesome. Love talking about it. I think we could probably go on all day talking about the amazing things that you guys are doing there in your approach to literacy. Maybe we'll wrap up today with just a final question. And that is, Monique, pull out your crystal ball. Give me that view into the future, the vision that you have of what do you think is working really well today, and you really hope that it's going to continue to work well, or maybe one thing that you hope changes?
So one thing that is working well is the kids are learning. They are learning all the time. If you have children at home, they are always on YouTube. They're always calling each other. If they're on video games, they get get coaching in real time. If you ever hear them, they are seeing the coaching. It's happening on the screen, but also they're talking. So they're saying, don't do this, do that, go over here. Like, they're getting that coaching. Since they're learning all the time, I think that is a prime opportunity for us to continue that. I love how now in education that our CTE and our dual credit in Texas here is connecting a lot more. So students don't have to decide if they want to do welding or college. They can do both in high school and post high school. So I think like that is great, because it shows that hands-on learning is happening, and we have to really lean into that a lot. One thing that I hope changes or adjust is embracing the AI. Okay. It's just one of the biggest things right now that's in front of us. And I think it's going to continue to change our students and how they learn. And it's also going to change our educators and how they deliver instruction and make plans. Is going to continue to change, because AI is going to continue to change the workforce. And so we always have to think that we're preparing kids for post high school graduation, and we want to make sure that we send them out into the world. And so one of the things, as I'm reading and researching more about AI, is not just leaning into the artificial intelligence, but how do we augment that intelligence to make sure that we set our students up to be able to navigate through it, right? So no matter what place or space, adding that in with the coding, adding that in with the nursing, adding that in with all the things that they're experiencing in class, in CTE, outside of school, in electives. AI is not going away. And so we have to prepare our students to be successful in leaning in and using it.
Oh, that's great. And that's a great line too. Using artificial intelligence to augment human intelligence. That's great. I love that. Thank you for that vision of the future. Thank you, Monique, for taking time with me today and be on the show. It's been great fun talking with you about this stuff, and I hope to do it again soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in. If you found today's conversation insightful, be sure to subscribe to Literacy Mindset. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube for updates, resources, and to join the conversation. Have a topic you'd like us to explore? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time.